Overcome the fear of change with divine transformation for your miraculous blessing. In the quaint English village of Willowbrook, where the chapel stood as a beacon of hope, Sarah's heart brimmed with faith. A devoted mother in her 30s, she juggled her responsibilities with love and prayer. Each morning began with gentle sunlight streaming through the kitchen window, illuminating the smiles of her 2 children as they gathered for breakfast. It was an ordinary day, but that sense of normalcy shattered like glass when Mark came home, his face pale, his voice heavy with news that sent panic racing through their home. He had lost his job. "God, why?" Sarah cried out silently. The weight of doubt hung heavy over her, a dark cloud looming above. The thought of impending bills and needs suffocated her faith. Every plea to St. Jude blended into a desperate whisper as night turned to day and the cycle felt relentless. She worked hard to hold her family together while the world outside shifted, uncertainty wrapping its cold fingers around her heart. Days grew longer, each one darker than the last. Bills piled up like a family of mountains, and the beloved family friend's illness only added to the dread. The chapel, once a source of solace, echoed the worries that clung to Sarah's spirit. Seeking guidance, she poured her heart out to Pastor William, whose lined face held kindness beyond years. "Lean on your faith, Sarah," he encouraged, his voice like a balm. "God walks with us, even when the path seems dark." But her worries gnawed at her being, beating back the peace he offered. Determined to change her family's fate, Sarah threw herself into job searches for Mark. Applications flew out, the hours stretched long, and every rejection weighed heavily until it felt like the walls around her were closing in. Hope began to flicker dimly, teetering on the edge of despair. Just when she thought she might crumble completely, she heard about a community prayer gathering at the chapel. As she entered, the room buzzed with faith. Flickering candles cast a warm glow. Each face reflected unwavering belief, a family of hearts knitted together by shared hope. Time seemed to dance as Sarah let her guard down, pouring out her fears among friends. In that soft embrace of prayer, she felt an inexplicable peace wash over her, soothing the tension coiling in her chest. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just then, as the pastor prayed for guidance, a heavenly glow filled the chapel, almost tangible, vibrating with divine energy. The congregation united in a chorus of faith, hearts lifted in harmony. In that moment of vulnerability, a prophetic word reached Sarah. "A door you did not expect shall open. Trust in the Lord's plan." Her heart ignited with a spark of hope, not just a flicker, but a roaring flame. The path ahead blurred in mystery as blessings began to cascade. Unforeseen kindness emerged within their community, neighbors offering support and warmth, while whispered prayers painted smiles on faces weary with worry. The miraculous was unfolding, signs of grace surrounding her like a tender embrace. As Sarah prepared to surrender her anxieties to God, her heart brimming with a new sense of purpose, a question lingered. Would her faith withstand the trials that still lay before her? With uncertainty swirling around, she remained poised for something beautiful and profound to arise from the ashes of doubt. The village felt changed, alive with expectation, leaving her yearning for the next chapter of her unfolding story. The days that followed were a tapestry woven with threads of prayer and whispered hope. Sarah found herself enveloped by the very support she'd once craved. Each visit to the chapel brought forth new faces, neighbors and friends, all standing together in faith. They shared stories, laughter, and sometimes tears.
They reminded her that she was never alone, even when darkness loomed outside her window. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in strokes of orange and pink, Sarah gathered her children for their bedtime routine. She read them stories of courage and faith, tales of individuals who had faced storms yet emerged stronger on the other side. Each word felt like a seed planted in their hearts, and as she tucked them in, she felt a flicker of joy ignite within her. "Mommy," her daughter Lily asked, her eyes wide and trusting, "are we going to be all right?" In that moment, Sarah realized the power of her faith. "Yes, my love, we will be. God is with us. He has a plan," she whispered, her own voice steadier than she felt. Sarah prayed silently, thanking the Lord for the little moments, a smile, a hug, a familial bond that strengthened with each challenge they faced. As the days blurred into weeks, hope transformed into action. Mark, buoyed by the prayers of the community, began volunteering at a local charity. He shared his skills and abilities with those in need, finding new purpose even in his unemployment. Each act of service he performed brought with it a sense of self-worth and exploration, a chance to glimpse God's plan at work. Sarah marveled at his newfound spirit, watching as he brightened the lives of others, even while they danced on the precipice of uncertainty. Then came the day when Mark received a surprise call. The familiar tone of their phone echoed through.
The living room, slicing through the stillness. Sarah's heart raced as she saw the name on the screen. It was a company he had long admired, one he'd nearly forgotten in the turmoil of job searching. "Hello?" Mark's voice trembled slightly, a mixture of hope and disbelief. As Sarah held her breath, every second felt like an eternity. She watched the smile grow on his face, a smile that seemed to push away shadows of despair. He hung up, and for a moment, silence swirled around them like a comforting embrace. "Sarah, they want to interview me tomorrow!" he exclaimed, his joy lighting up the room. Tears brimmed in Sarah's eyes as they held each other tightly. "I knew it! I just knew God would open a door for us," she said, her voice quivering with anticipation. The community rallied around them, offering prayers and encouragement as Mark prepared for his interview. The grace surrounding them felt alive, pulsating like the heartbeat of a family knit together by faith and love. However, as the night before the big day approached, Sarah found herself lying in bed, sleepless and pensive. A nagging doubt emerged, stealing away the peace she had worked so hard to cultivate. What if this wasn't the right place for Mark? What if he failed? The questions hummed around her like a restless crowd. In the quiet stillness, she whispered a plea for strength. The words tumbled out with sincerity. "Lord, if it's your will, let it be done." And just like that, it felt as though the weight of the world shifted, lightening with every uttered prayer. As the dawn broke, carrying with it hope and God's whispers of assurance, Sarah prepared for what lay ahead. And in her heart lingered a profound sense that more than a job was at stake. Would this door indeed lead to a blessing beyond their expectations, or was another lesson in faith on the horizon, waiting to unfold? The morning arrived, painted with fresh promises as the sun's golden rays filtered through the window, casting a warm glow upon Mark and Sarah's home. Mark rose early, a mix of nerves and excitement bubbling within him. After a quick shower, he stood before the mirror, practicing his smile and words. He wanted to embody confidence, yet he knew that true courage came from surrendering to God's will. "Today's the day, Lord," he muttered, whispering a quick prayer. The uncertainty felt tangible, but he was determined to lean into the faith that had carried them this far. As he dressed, the children stirred awake. Lily bounded into the kitchen, her hair a messy halo of curls, delight swirling in her eyes. "Daddy, are you ready?" she asked, her innocence a reminder of what truly mattered. "Almost, sweetheart," he replied, with a smile, thankful for her unwavering support. Sarah joined them, her own heart racing. She prepared breakfast, pouring each bowl of oatmeal with purpose. Each spoonful held a prayer for Mark, a blessing for strength, wisdom, and favor. "God's got this," she encouraged, her eyes bright. Mark nodded in agreement, feeling her conviction boost his own. As they sat down together, laughter bounced around the kitchen, mingling with the scent of cinnamon and fruit. The spirit of joy wrapped around them, a stark contrast to the heavy thoughts that loomed in Mark's mind. Then, moments before his departure, Sarah took Mark's hands in hers, her grip firm yet gentle. "Remember, no matter what happens today, you are loved," she said, her voice steady. "We trust in God, and we walk in faith. His plans are bigger than our fears." Mark looked deep into her eyes, feeling the warmth of the promise that echoed in every word. "Thank you, Sar," he replied, feeling a tinge of serenity wash over him. As he stepped out of their home, the air felt electric. The sun shone brightly overhead, illuminating his path as he made his way to the office. With every stride, he whispered, "I am not alone. I am held by divine love." The interview room was surprisingly calm, filled with soft light and friendly faces. Conversation flowed, and to Mark's surprise, he found himself at ease. He shared stories of his journey, weaving in humor and candor, realizing that he was not just selling his skills, but sharing a part of his spirit. After what felt like both an eternity and a fleeting moment, the interview concluded. The panel smiled, and Mark stepped outside, the weight of tension rolling off his shoulders. Back home, as twilight began to settle, Sarah's heart raced with anticipation. She had gathered the children and lit a small candle, their evening ritual a beacon of hope. The soft flickering light seemed to dance with expectation. When Mark arrived, his face held a blend of elation and uncertainty. The kids rushed to him, eager for news. "Well?" Sarah inquired, her heart pounding with bated breath. Mark took a deep breath, the silence stretching like a thin thread. "They said they were impressed." His voice faltered slightly, but no decision was made yet. A wave of uncertain hope washed over the room. The children looked at each other, confusion mingling with optimism. Sarah held Mark's gaze, willing strength into the moment. "Then we wait. God is in control," she said softly, her faith a soothing balm for anxious hearts. As they gathered around the candle, closing their eyes to pray, a profound peace enveloped the room, the flames flickering in agreement with every heart's whisper. They felt the presence of God, an invitation toward patience and deeper faith. But just as they were about to finish, the phone rang again, breaking through the sacred moment like a burst of light. Could it be the answer they had prayed for? What awaited them on the other side of that call? The moment hung in the air, charged with expectation. Mark's heart raced as he exchanged glances with Sarah. Both held their breath. The children's, "Maybe it's the call!" Lily bounced on her toes, her wide eyes filled with hope. Mark reached for the phone, its vibrations pulsing like a heartbeat. He glanced at Sarah, who nodded encouragingly, her lips whispering a quick prayer that only he could see move across her gaze. "Let's see what God has in store for us," he breathed out, trying to calm his own fluttering heart. As he pressed the green button, every fear and worry seemed to dissolve into the atmosphere, leaving space for divine possibilities. "Hello?" Mark said, trying to keep his voice steady. A familiar voice greeted him on the other end, Mr. Henderson, the head of the panel. Mark felt a surge of warmth. He remembered the kindness that radiated from him during the interview. "Mark, it's good to talk to you again," Mr. Henderson said, his tone welcoming. "I wanted to let you know that we were very impressed with your interview. Your passion and experience stood out to us." Mark's heart danced, but then a shadow of doubt crept in. "But," he ventured, his pulse quickening again, "there's a follow-up question that we'd like to discuss with you." "Of course," Mark replied, his voice steadier now, mind racing to the implications. A faith-born calm enveloped him. As Mr. Henderson continued, Mark absorbed every word, noting the subtle shifts in tone, the sincerity that emerged. Meanwhile, Sarah's eyes locked onto him, an unspoken prayer weaving through them. The children sat quietly, their anticipation palpable, each heartbeat syncing with the promise of hope in the room.
A few moments passed, but they felt like an eternity. "Mark," Mr. Henderson's voice softened, "we believe that your abilities will be a wonderful fit for our team. We just want you to know that any hesitation was around some logistics. If you're open to it, we'd love to move forward." Mark's heart swelled. "So, I got the job?" His voice broke slightly, overwhelmed by the weight of the moment. "Yes, we'd like to formally extend the offer to you." Joy crashed over him like waves, filling his spirit with warmth. Thank you so much." As the call ended, Mark turned to face Sarah, his voice rising, jubilant disbelief washing over their little family. "I got it!" he laughed, the news tumbling from his lips. The room erupted into chaos. The children jumped, shrieking with joy, while Sarah's eyes glimmered with happy tears. She clasped her hands to her heart, overwhelmed by the thrill of the moment. "God is good! He's so faithful!" Sarah exclaimed, wrapping her arms around Mark and pulling him into a tight embrace. Yet, as the celebration filled the air, a flicker of something else tugged at Mark's heart. Even as joy brightened the room, questions began to swirl. "Are we ready for this?" Mark mused, the sense of wonder mingling with uncertainty. Sarah pulled back
Slightly, placing a gentle hand on his cheek. "We're never alone. God's guiding us every step of the way. Remember, we face it all together." Mark nodded, letting her words sink in. The candle still flickered softly in the background, a small reminder of the space they had created for miracles. But deep within him, a stirring began. What if the blessings brought challenges he hadn't yet foreseen? What if divine transformation led to unexpected trials? As the children danced around, laughter lighting the room, deep down, Mark pondered. "Next steps will be different," he whispered to himself. "But what does God want to reveal to us through this change?" That question hung in the air like a gentle challenge, a beckoning towards something greater. What lessons awaited them on this new path? The following days passed in a whirlwind. The buzz of excitement from Mark's new job faded, only to be replaced by the quiet reality of preparations for what lay ahead. Boxes began to pile in the living room, reminders of a shift that felt both thrilling and daunting. Each packed item represented a moment of their life together, torn between nostalgia and hope. With the children busying themselves, Mark found himself standing before the window, gazing out into the garden. The sun poured down, golden and bright, illuminating the vibrant blossoms that swayed gently in the breeze. Every flower bloomed in its own time, each unique and beautiful. As he watched, a thought blossomed in his mind. What if we too are like these flowers, growing stronger through seasons of change? "Dad!" Lily's voice broke through his reverie. She perched herself on the edge of the sill, fluttering her little fingers excitedly. "Do you think the new place will have a garden?" "Yes, sweet girl," he replied, smiling down at her. "We'll find one, just like this, a space for us to grow." Her eyes sparkled. "And we can have picnics and plant flowers." In her innocent enthusiasm, he felt a flicker of warmth. It reminded him of God's promise, how He delights in giving us good things. But there was still the undercurrent of uncertainty, untouched by her joy. Would their new home foster the same love and laughter? Would they all adapt to these changes together? As evening fell, the family gathered around the dinner table, a ritual that always comforted him. They shared stories and giggles between bites, but Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper stirred within them. After they cleared the dishes, he felt prompted to pray aloud, a practice filled with both instinct and reverence. "Lord," he began, his voice steady yet soft, "thank you for this family. Thank you for the new opportunity you've laid before us. Help us to embrace change, to grow together amidst it all. Show us what lessons lie ahead." As he spoke, a profound stillness enveloped the room, laden with a sacred weight. The children's chatter quieted, and even Sarah paused, her gaze softening as she absorbed his words. In that moment, Mark felt a surge of peace cascading over him, a soothing balm for his restless spirit. The kitchen became a sacred space, drenched in God's presence. He realized that the uncertainties and challenges were merely the backdrop against which their faith would be painted. Each obstacle could illuminate their journey towards greater understanding, a divine transformation in progress. Mark felt a fleeting fear settle at the edges of his heart. Jesus did not shy away from challenges. Rather, he faced them with grace and conviction. "What does God want to reveal to us through this change?" he repeated in his mind. The very question sparked a flicker of excitement about their future. Even the flickering light overhead seemed to glow brighter, promising new beginnings. Mark's heart thudded robustly. Challenges would come, but he hoped they would be seeds bearing fruit, a chance to deepen their reliance on God. He glanced at Sarah, who caught his gaze and smiled, understanding the journey they were about to embark upon, navigating the twists and turns of the road ahead, hand in hand. As a new resolve welled within him, he whispered, "Let's trust in His timing. No matter what comes, we'll figure it out together." And in that very moment, a gentle stirring began to fill the air around them, as if the universe echoed back their resolution. Mark could almost hear the whispers of angels celebrating their new chapter. What divine surprises unfolded along that path of transition? What gifts of love and faith awaited them in the moments ahead? Days turned into weeks as the family embraced the impending move. Each morning, Mark would rise early, the sun spilling softly into their home, and would take a moment on the back porch to breathe in the crisp air. It felt like a fresh start each day. As he sipped his coffee, he would often ponder the beauty of transitions, the way nature teaches resilience. Lily, with her endless wonder, would rush to his side, clutching a vibrant flower she had picked from their garden. "Look, Dad, this one is special," she'd exclaim, her face glowing with excitement. Each flower became a reminder of their roots, an emblem of the love they had cultivated within those garden walls. On a particularly sunny afternoon, Mark and Sarah ventured out to find a new home, an adventure filled with hope, yet tinged with nerves. Driving through neighborhoods, they searched for that special place that felt like it could cradle their family. What will it be like, Mark wondered. Will it feel like home? They wandered into a park where laughter danced in the air from children playing and families gathering. "It's so vibrant here," Sarah observed as they settled on a bench beneath a sprawling oak. "It feels full of life." Mark nodded, feeling the pull of this new community. Could this place reflect the garden of their hearts? As the day drew to a close, Mark turned to Sarah. "This might be it, you know? I feel peace here." She returned his gaze, her eyes softening under the warm glow of the setting sun. "I sense it too. Let's pray for guidance," she replied, taking his hand. In that moment of quiet intercession, they invited God into their decision-making. "Lord," Mark whispered, "lead us to the home that will bring us joy. We trust in your plan and timing." A sense of unity enveloped them, a tangible assurance that they were not alone in this process. Returning home that evening, they gathered in their familiar living room. Surrounded by boxes, Mark reflected on the love that surrounded them, transformed by their commitment. The children played, weaving laughter through the air, while Sarah organized items for their new adventure. It was a chaotic yet beautiful scene, embodying the promise of new beginnings. With the twilight dimming outside, he sensed an urge to gather everyone together once more. "Come, let's talk about tomorrow," he suggested, settling the kids down. "What exciting things do you hope for in our new home?" Lily's eyes lit up. "A tree house and a big swing!" "Maybe a garden?" echoed Noah, his thoughtful voice carrying hope. "Absolutely, a space where we can create memories," Mark chimed in. As laughter and ideas mingled, Mark felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. God had ignited their imaginations, filling their hearts with joyful anticipation. As sleep began to beckon, Mark found himself awake, gazing at the ceiling. The world felt different now, a palpable shift in the atmosphere around him, steeped in divine possibilities. He remembered the question that had danced in his mind. What would God reveal through this change?
Suddenly, he felt an undeniable stir of purpose. Was it possible that this move was more than just a relocation? A deeper revelation waited on the horizon, waiting for their faith to grasp it. What deeper understanding was unfolding? What awaited them as they dared to embrace each new day? Morning light crept into the bedroom, gently nudging Mark awake. He lay there for a moment, feeling the warmth on his face, heart full of hope. The day held promise, and with it, the unknown. He dressed quietly, taking care not to disturb Sarah, who was still lost in sleep. Yet even her stillness felt alive, like a calm sea before a great storm. As he stepped outside, the cool air kissed his cheeks, a reminder of the world waking up around him. He could hear birds chirping their morning songs, a symphony of joy that echoed nature's beauty. With each sip of coffee on the porch, Mark closed his eyes and inhaled deeply. "Thank you, Lord," he whispered, feeling overflowing gratitude. Suddenly, the image of their future home filled his mind, a vision crafted not just by dreams but by prayers. "What will it be like, Lord?" he wondered, his heart dancing with excitement and trepidation. He sensed a calling, a divine invitation to lean fully into what lied ahead. Before long, the house buzzed with the familiar sounds of children waking up, each noise a reminder of the life and love that thrived within these walls. Lily bounded down the stairs first, her hair a wild mess of curls, a constant burst of energy. "Good morning, Daddy. Do you think the new house will have a trampoline?" she asked, eyes sparkling with anticipation. Mark smiled, his father's heart swelling. "I don't know, sweetheart, but I promise we'll make it an amazing place together." He pulled her into a warm embrace, inhaling the sweet scent of her hair, feeling blessed to have these moments. Slowly, they gathered around the breakfast table, Sarah serving warm pancakes. The aroma filled the room, and laughter quickly filled the air as they shared stories from the day before. But amidst the joyful noise, Mark felt a deeper whisper in his heart. "Can we pause for a moment?" he asked, and the chatter quieted. They held hands, a circle of unity rooted in faith. "Let's pray over today and our new home. Let's invite God into every step we take." Mark closed his eyes, focusing on each word. "Lord, we thank you for this family and the plans you have for us. Help us to embrace this change, to see your light in it. May our new home be a place of joy, love, and faith. Guide our steps, Lord." As he finished, a sense of peace washed over him, a gentle reminder that this was part of something greater. They exchanged smiles, a heartfelt understanding uniting them in that moment. As they cleaned up, Sarah caught Mark's gaze and leaned in, her eyes sparkling. "I think today might be the day we find our home," she said softly, her belief unwavering. "Could be," he responded, the excitement bubbling within him. They spent the morning visiting various properties, but nothing felt quite right. A quiet frustration began to settle in Mark's heart. He longed for clarity, but felt the tension of waiting. Later, they arrived at a quaint house on a quiet street, the kind of place that looked like it belonged in a storybook. "This could be it," Sarah said, eyes wide with hope. Mark's heart raced as they stepped inside. But as they wandered through the rooms, uncertainty loomed. "But Lord, is this really the one?" he muttered under his breath. Was it possible this house held the answers they sought? He felt the pull of faith, a compelling urge to trust. As they stepped into the garden, sunshine filtered through the leaves above, casting playful shadows on their faces. Just then, a gentle breeze stirred, and Lily laughed, chasing after a butterfly. Witnessing her joy ignited a fire in Mark's heart. With God's guidance, they could navigate any change that came their way. "Wait," he exclaimed suddenly, moving closer to the flower beds. "What if it's not just about us, but also about others? A place where we can build community, serve, and love?"
Sarah joined him, nodding, a knowing smile emerging. "That's it! What if our home becomes a blessing to the neighborhood?" Mark felt a spark of revelation. Their journey was unfolding,
And it was about far more than physical walls. They wanted to create a sanctuary where God's love would radiate, where transformation was not just personal but universal. As they stood surrounded by blooming flowers, each petal seeming to whisper promises of new beginnings, Mark sensed the profound truth. Change was a path to revelation. The plan was divine, but the journey required courage. Excitement surged through him. They were on the brink of something monumental, but what exactly awaited them? Each new day promised fresh discoveries, and he could barely contain his curiosity. Would they uncover God's grand design? What would they find next in their quest for a true home, one that welcomed not just their family, but all those yearning for love and connection? Stepping back into the house, Mark felt an uncommon stillness wash over him. The garden's beauty lingered in his thoughts, vibrant and alive, as if it were mapping a future yet unseen. "It's more than just a house," he murmured, mostly to himself, but in his heart he knew he was speaking to God. As they continued their exploration, Sarah's eyes scanned each room, seeking hidden potential in every corner. "What do you think, Mark?" she asked, pausing by a sun-soaked window. Bright beams streamed in, illuminating dust motes like tiny stars dancing in the air. "Can you imagine the kids playing here?" Mark nodded, though uncertainty gnawed him. "I can see it, but it feels like there's something we haven't uncovered yet." With an encouraging smile, Sarah added, "Let's keep praying. It's gotta be part of God's plan." The words comforted him, carrying a warmth that pushed away doubt. They wandered back into the kitchen, the heart of the home, where he imagined laughter, late-night talks, and soul-nourishing meals. There was an excitement building within him, a flicker of hope igniting amidst the unsettling sensations of change. But what did God want for them? Suddenly, a whisper echoed in his mind, urging him to explore deeper. "Let's step outside for a moment," Mark suggested, hoping to clear his thoughts. Outside, the gentle breeze wrapped around them, carrying soft fragrances of blooming flowers and fresh earth. It felt sacred, like stepping into a hidden sanctuary. In the quiet space, Mark closed his eyes, seeking connection with God. He envisioned their life unfolding here, a home not just for their family, but a refuge for others. A vision of community, friends gathering, meals shared, hearts united in faith. "Lord," he breathed, "show us your way. I want this place to be full of your love." Just then, a soft chirping surrounded them, and Mark opened his eyes to see a bird perched nearby, singing its morning song, a tiny herald of hope. "Look," he pointed, awe spilling over him. Little creature flitted down to the flower bed, seemingly drawn to the blooms. "Maybe it's a sign," Sarah said, her voice filled with wonder. "God is emphasizing life and growth here." Mark nodded, feeling the stirrings of a promise. This house, with its quaint charm, could indeed be a vessel for God's goodness. As they stood together, basking in the symphony of nature, reflections of their past service in the community surfaced, feeding the hungry, offering friendship, sharing faith. Their hearts surged with the same longing. What if we begin something here, a group, a ministry, something that brings us all together? Mark pondered, excitement now intertwining with hope. "That's it," Sarah exclaimed, her eyes shining. "A safe haven where love can flow, where healing can happen. We could host gatherings, prayer meetings, everything." Mark's heart leaped. Their dreams were blooming like flowers in spring, vibrant and filled with potential. Yet, amidst this surge of enthusiasm, a flicker of fear lingered. "But what if we fail?" he confessed, anxiety creeping in. "Then we trust," Sarah replied gently, placing her hand on his. "God doesn't only guide us to success, He leads us through every failure. We learn, we grow, and we keep moving forward." Mark took a deep breath, feeling the truth of her words settle in his spirit. Courage infused him, awakening a sense of adventure. Life was about taking that first step, even when the path felt unclear. As they headed back inside, determination filled the air, transforming doubts into stepping stones. They began to explore ideas, voicing hopes and dreams, sketching out possibilities on paper, as though they were drawing blueprints for their lives. The house felt alive with their dreams, and the more they envisioned, the more clarity emerged. They were not just searching for a home, they were building a legacy infused with love and community spirit. "Remember," Mark said, a smile lighting his face, "we can't see the whole path, but we can trust that God will illuminate every next step." With hearts brimming with purpose, they returned home, eager to share their vision with Lily, who was joyfully playing on the floor. In that moment, their faith felt both simple and profound. But what would the community say when they revealed their dream? Would they embrace this wild endeavor? With those questions hanging in the air, Mark felt the pulse of divine anticipation. What awaited them ahead was both a mystery and a promise. The next morning brought with it a soft glow that filled their new home. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, bathing the space in golden warmth. Mark stood by the counter, sipping his coffee, thoughts swirling as he contemplated the day ahead. He had called a meeting with a few close friends, folks from church who shared similar values. "Are you ready for today?" Sarah asked, her voice breaking through his reverie. There was a sparkle in her eyes, a mix of hope and nerves that mirrored his own emotions. "Honestly, little anxious," Mark admitted. "What if they don't get it? What if they think we're crazy?"
Or maybe they'll see the vision we see. You've prayed about this. God's been guiding us every step of the way.
She reassured him, her faith grounding him. With that, they gathered the last of their nerves and set out toward the church hall. The journey felt sacred, each mile punctuated by silent prayers for encouragement, boldly asking God to weave His purpose through their discussions. Upon arrival, Mark discovered their friends already waiting: Joe and Emily, a lively couple with open hearts, and Maria, who always had a wellspring of wisdom apparent in her gentle demeanor. They smiled warmly at Mark and Sarah as they entered, sensing the importance of the moment. "Thanks for coming, everyone. We've got something close to our hearts to share," Mark began, feeling the lump in his throat as he recalled how vital this gathering was for them. "We've been given a vision for our new home, to transform it into a place of community, a ministry where we can all come together." As he spoke, he watched the expressions of curiosity blend with enthusiasm. Hands shifted, hopes elevated, and a shared eagerness took over the room. "I can see it," Emily exclaimed, eyes sparkling. "A community garden, a Bible study, meals shared together, just like the early church." Mark's heart raced, buoyed by her enthusiasm. "Exactly! We want this home not just for our family, but for everyone." Joe leaned forward, nodding. "It's a bit unconventional, but I love it. We've needed something like this for so long." His voice resonated with agreement, encouragement flooding the atmosphere. Then Maria, who had been quietly observing, raised her hand slightly. "You know, change can be daunting for many. Some might hesitate at first. It's important we remember to offer grace, even when we face doubts." Mark felt a wave of profound acknowledgement wash over the group. "That's true. We'll need patience as we unfold this dream. We can't rush God's timing. Every seed needs time to grow." As they exchanged ideas, the conversation flowed like a river, cascading into plans and suggestions. They envisioned gatherings with music, prayer, and fellowship. Day by day, they began carving out their future, like artists with a canvas, each stroke bringing shape and color to their dreams. Yet, even amidst the hope, shadows loomed in the corners of Mark's mind. Would they truly be able to manage this? There was a voice inside him nagging with doubts like a persistent whisper. "Let's pray," Sarah suggested suddenly, sensing the apprehension. "If we're going to build this community, we need God's blessing and guidance." They joined hands, heads bowed. Mark felt warmth envelop him, the stillness settling like a downy blanket around them. As they prayed, he voiced each concern, every flicker of fear, casting it before God like seeds in fertile soil. "Lord," he sighed, "give us courage, lead us as we walk into this new season.
Help us to be lights in this community. As they opened their eyes, something shifted. The very air felt charged with expectancy, as if God's presence was affirming their hearts. Encouraged, they began assigning roles, setting dates, and planning events. Slowly, the dreams of tomorrow, once mere whispers, began to solidify in their hearts. "Let's have the first gathering in 2 weeks," Mark proposed boldly. Excitement bubbled up, and approval rang out from every corner. As the meeting concluded, woven with laughter and spirited dreams, Mark felt a profound peace creeping in, replacing the earlier apprehension. Indeed, they were embarking on a beautiful journey filled with divine potential. But as they prepared to leave that day, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something much bigger than they could foresee. What challenges lay ahead, and how would they respond? Would the community rally behind their vision, or would their faith be tested? Mark felt a deep stirring in his spirit. God was at work, but the fullness of his plan was still shrouded in mystery. As the sun rose on the day of their first community gathering, the air buzzed with anticipation. Mark woke early, heart racing with hope and excitement. He stood in the kitchen, preparations underway, the scent of warm cinnamon rolls filling the air. Each roll was a small prayer, a symbol of warmth and togetherness that they hoped to offer. "Mommy, what time are the people coming?" Lily's voice chimed with eagerness as she bounded into the room. "Soon, darling. It's almost time to get everything ready," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling, reflecting the enthusiasm of her daughter. Mark glanced out the window, watching the village come alive. Neighbors waved as they passed, a gentle reminder of the shared community they sought to embrace. "This is it, Lord," he muttered, clutching the countertop. "We're stepping out in faith." As the hour approached, laughter mixed with the aroma of fresh coffee, forming an inviting ambiance. Friends began to arrive, each with smiles and stories, creating a tapestry of unity woven by shared faith. Mark felt the warmth of God's presence swelling amongst them, binding hearts closer. "Can you believe we're finally doing this?" Emily exclaimed, her hands clapping with delight. "It's like a dream come true," Sarah added, arranging chairs to create a cozy circle. "Let's make it feel like home." With the aroma of baked goods floating through the air, they gathered around, a circle of eager souls. Mark looked around at the familiar faces, the friends who had been there through thick and thin, now poised to embark on this new journey together. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice steady yet filled with nervous energy. "Thank you for coming. Today, we're not just gathering, we're creating a space for love, service, and community." A chorus of affirmations surrounded him, and he felt as if they were all holding the promise delicately in their hands. As conversations flowed and laughter echoed, they shared dreams for the future. Ideas sprinkled the gathering like confetti: Bible studies, game nights, potlucks, and community service events. Each suggestion was a blessing, an affirmation that their vision resonated deeply with others. "Let's start with a community garden," Joe suggested. "We can plant flowers and vegetables together. It'll be a way to nurture both the earth and our spirits." Mark's heart soared. Yes, it can symbolize growth and unity. Every flower and vegetable will tell a story of our connection. As they continued to share, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced like spirits around them. Mark watched as Lily and the other children played in the yard, their laughter ringing like bells, pure, untainted joy. In that moment, he felt a profound realization wash over him. This wasn't just about a physical space, but about creating a warm haven where faith was nurtured in every heart. By the time twilight began to settle, their broad vision had chiseled into a vibrant plan for the community. It felt as if they had catapulted into deeper revelations about love, service, and connection rooted in God's will. Just then, a quiet presence settled over the room. Maria, who had been listening intently, raised her hand. "I'd love to share something," she said, her voice soothing and calm. Mark nodded, sensing the weight of what was to come. "I've been reflecting on our journey.
Change is often met with hesitation, but it's also where we discover God's miracles. Let's remember to invite others, even those unsure if they want to join. Our challenge is to extend our hands in love, no matter what, she shared, her kind eyes expressing unity. Mark felt a tear well in his eye. Absolutely, we'll embrace everyone. That's how a community thrives. He glanced around, seeing nods of agreement. We want this space to be open, a refuge for anyone searching for something more. As they wrapped up the evening with gratefulness, each heart felt full. Let's close in prayer, Sarah suggested. Gathered in a circle with hands clasped tight, Mark felt a pulse of connection weave through them. Lord, thank you for this beautiful gathering. We ask for your guidance as we step forward. Fill our hearts with love. Help us to draw others in, and show us how to plant roots that will nourish our community. Let your light shine through us, he prayed with fervor. When they opened their eyes, a collective peace settled over them, affirming the sacredness of what they had created together. As the night deepened, laughter and conversations lingered in the air like sweet incense. Mark watched the connections forming around him, the transformative power of faith conspiring to knit them together. Uncertainty began to fade, replaced with a vibrant hope deeply rooted in love. Yet, as he bid farewell to everyone that night, Mark couldn't help but sense a shift in the atmosphere. The energy felt electric with possibilities. They were embarking on a sacred journey.
One where God's handiwork was already stirring and where blessings would bloom amidst the challenges. What new changes awaited? Would they endure and thrive together, or would the tests of life seek to unravel them? Still holding on to the joy of the day, Mark whispered a prayer, surrendering all anxieties, ready for whatever lay ahead. Now is the moment for you to be part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread this message far and wide. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of faith and hope. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.